Getting into the marijuana field was a personal issue of mine that I'd gone through with the death of a brother back in 1990s, early 90s, who died from epilepsy. So it always drew me towards the medical end of it. I saw firsthand how he was with his medication and without, and it was definitely a difference, and it ultimately cost him his life. I decided to get into the business just for those reasons alone, to help, to do what I could to do my part. Wishing I would have had this opportunity back in the day, and maybe my brother would still be here. So.
How's it going, guys? Today we're coming to you from Boulder, Colorado. We got our friends here at Peaceful Choice that are going to show us the medicinal side of cannabis. Get out of this freezing weather right now. Peaceful Choice has been open since 2011, but they moved to this location in 2014, and they've kind of held out this whole medicinal market as long as they possibly could because their idea here is patients first. I'm here with Trip. He's the owner of this place. How's it going?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thanks.
So we've got a few of our strains here. We grow about 30 strains in all, and we never have all of them here at the same time, but we do have between 10 and 20 depending on the time of the cycle. Our flagship strain right now is Primus. Primus will put you on the couch. Not everybody's favorite strain. It can smell like old man's breath to some people.
On the couch locked.
Yeah, but if you like it, you love it.
Yeah.
And people come back. So we grow the most of this of anything. This is a custom strain that we designed and bred in our garden.
Where did you guys kind of come across a lot of your phenotypes and stuff that you guys run with now?
So about half of our strains were developed in-house. Just going to give you a quick tour of our cultivation facility. We're a medical grow only. We grow just medical weed for our store. We use double-ended lights, which is what we like to grow with. The lower floor is all of our flowering floors, our flowering rooms, and our upper floor is our veg room, our vegetative room. We are a small facility, and we're working in recycle, reuse an old warehouse building, an old government warehouse building.
What was the first time that you actually saw the actual benefit that got you, I'm guessing, helping into this industry? I mean, doing the medicinal side.
Yeah, I started watching the news and paying attention to the industry, and you see these stories about kids that have epilepsy and seizures, and they give them everything from Rick Simpson oil to things like that, that they just get cured. And you're like, holy cow, the mainstream medicine can't cure that.
Yeah.
And to me, that's where the medical value comes in. If you can cure a kid, that makes you feel good about what you're doing.
Rebecca has come over to see how lessons are progressing.
Now, something that's growing is the use of concentrates. A lot more. And what we've done to sort of satisfy the desire for concentrates is we've increased our production at the grow facility, and by doing that, we're now using almost a third of our product from the grow to make our own in-house concentrates.
Wow.
And I've got a couple here just to show you. There's a couple of basic kinds of product that go into these concentrates. The first kind is what we call fresh frozen, where you take the plant and you freeze it all when it's wet, and they take that fresh frozen plant, and because it's frozen fresh, the trichomes and the terps don't get a chance to ripen or age, kind of like the way you wine or
sort of frozen right there in the process. Yeah,
frozen right there, and so you have a completely different terp experience from a fresh frozen product. This happens to be one of our favorite fresh frozen from a processor named Apothecary. And you can see that's what they call it, ambrosia. Some people will call it sauce. It's got some beautiful crystals in there. That's from our strawberry lemonade.
And this is the THCA crystals, correct?
Correct.
Wow. Man, that smells amazing.
Yeah, it smells just like strawberry, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can get a good shot from the camera on that, but that's some really beautiful crystals. background in science too, so I love like the research, the science, and it turns out we have these endocannabinoid receptors in our brain. We don't have Prozac receptors, and we don't have other things, and that's why the cannabinoids from this medicine actually work, and I believe that wholeheartedly.
Which cannabinoids do you see more prevalently, I guess, that people ask for in a medicinal dispensary?
Mostly THC and CBD,
Okay.
but we are seeing, like I said, as people educate themselves a little bit more,
Mhm.
we're seeing an upsurge in CBG, CBC, because of the anti-inflammation properties, the restorative properties of those two cannabinoids. Those are a lot of, those we're finding are what inhibits tumor growth. It can stimulate bone growth as well, so people who have broken bones, need healing and things like that. Those two cannabinoids can work together and help your body regenerate. Help the
Wow.
cells.
Which do you see that you get the most results from?
I think really it comes down to the individual patient, and the patient finds out what works for them, and that's why the bud tenders are so valuable, because they not only first of all know the product and know how it might interact with the patient, but then through a conversation with that patient, they're able to say, hey, why don't you try this thing this week? Come back next week. Let me know how it goes. And if it didn't work, I'll have another suggestion for you because I know how these might work out.
So how long have you been a bartender for?
Since January.
Oh, right.
So I started on the recreational side and then moved to medical.
How does your family feel about your career choice?
My family thinks it's great,
Yeah.
which is not a sentiment shared by everybody's parents. You know, not everybody wants their kid to be in this industry.
So how do you see the
Great.
correlation between this industry and like the health industry as a whole, with them treating the same conditions, like to literally the same patients before they turn to cannabis as a result?
Definitely. In my findings, it really depends on the doctor.
Okay.
Doctors tend to have very, very polar opinions about cannabis, and with the healthcare industry, one of the biggest issues is that they themselves are not allowed to be users. It's hard for them to be larger advocates. But I know every time I go, sit on a doctor's table, they always have 100 questions for me. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Even last time I went to the doctor, I had a conversation, and this is, in its infancy and by no means recommended yet, but about THCA for morning sickness is something that is even being
Yeah, that's
looked
been a
into now.
huge thing lately.
And
just
it's
with the pregnant
again,
women.
it's a very polar subject because pregnancy and cannabis.
What's your take on that, being a nursing background as well? I mean,
My
you've
take
seen
on
both sides of the coin now, so.
I think that there's nothing wrong with consuming a medication that's not going to harm the baby. And in terms of when you're using THC cannabinoids, we talked about the natural existing endocannabinoid system in your body. So it's not something that's necessarily foreign to your body or your body's chemistry. So for me, I would say that, pending any research findings, I would be a supporter of that. Because, it's a natural way for moms to get through that stage and, women to stay, they keep working, they can keep their normal life.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for showing me around. I mean, like I said, you guys are doing an amazing service for this whole community and the Denver greater cannabis community as well. So please, please, please keep up the good work. Keep fighting the good fight. Thanks a lot, Chip.
Wouldn't trade it for the world.